And these have fascinated me ever since I first saw Nassim bringing them out. And now there's literally thousands of them that, go through a few hundred of the pictures today, right now, this morning, that I spent so many hours downloading and organizing to do this with. So just to start it off, we will play Nassim here, so that there's two different clips, and the links are in the description as well. And yeah, in his words.
Approximately 5 years ago, Klaus Dona and I were contacted by a group of people that represented a simple farmer from Mexico that had found a large collection of artifacts in a cave on his land. The artifacts were very unusual as they portrayed very specific scenes that involved solar systems, extraterrestrial crafts, what people typically call UFOs. And the UFOs were very well defined. They were not subject to interpretation. They were easy to identify. My tendency was to think that these were hoax, maybe made by that farmer and so on. But the sheer number, meaning there was like over 2,000 pieces, it didn't make it very feasible for a poor farmer in the middle of Mexico to start making these pieces. The other thing is that many of the pieces are inlaid with precious stones like diamonds and gold. Makes it.
Okay, so pausing it there, Nassim says over 2,000 of these artifacts, many of them with precious stones, including diamonds and gold, does not make it very feasible for a hoax, especially of this Mexican farmer, that this first stash that him and Klaus Dona brought forward in 2011, before 2012, the Great Awakening and the New Age, the fifth age of humanity. Or the sun.
Very unlikely for a poor farmer in the middle of Mexico to all of a sudden create such a huge production of hoax. Most of the pieces are out of stone, so there was no way for me to do carbon dating on it and so on. It was not obvious until one day I realized that some of these masks are made out of, they're composite. They're, of course, inlays of all these different stones, and so they must be adhesive to glue all these things together. And I thought maybe the adhesive has organic material in it that we could carbon date, and that's what I did. And it was very startling because the result came in at 6,210 plus or minus 45 years, BP, which is about 5,300 BC, which like predates the Mayan culture dramatically. Then we decided to do at least 2 more pieces. So this mask here was done as well. And this big head, this alien big head, was tested as well. And that was even more amazing. The dating came back at 14,215 years plus or minus 60. We've got all the pieces out, some of the pieces out. There's more pieces coming. We're going to get the microscope and start sorting the pieces out and figuring out which one can be tested and what kind of information we can extract. And so far we found one sample of organic material that seemed to be part of one of the adhesive on one of the pieces, and you know, a lot of different data that we're gonna be able to analyze in the next few weeks and so on. So it's a good start, and we'll keep you posted on the rest of the stuff. Doing the science appropriately on those pieces, if it's confirmed, completely changed our concept of history and what has happened on our planet. So it's really critical.
I have to pause it here just because Nassim is showing one of these carvings with verifying it's these pictographic, alien pictographic symbol languages, which is absolutely huge because there is literally 2,000 of them, like he said. So that, there's we're gonna look at probably 500 of them, and mind is blown.
I really appreciate that you're willing to do the right thing and get the science done.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's get a team together and get out there and do it.
Okay.
Sounds good?
I look forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before I start this second video, which was originally released in 2011, right before the 2012 Mayan calendar event, and it's the first that I had seen of these. And that first video that I just played for you all, that was the very first time that I had watched it or seen that portion of the actual Nassim. I guess he said it was 5 or 6 years ago since this one at the time of that first video's recording. So I'll play it again after this one because it's only 5 minutes long, and I would like to analyze it some more, as this is fascinating stuff, and that it's been probably now another 8 years since then, or 7, 6. Anywho, a good decade since all of this first began, and that I have a heck of a collection of pictures of these different artifacts. And as I was first collecting them and going through so many of them, it's like, I was like, how is there just so many? Like, there's a couple different types, but like 3 or 4 different styles of these artifacts. And I was thinking that some must have been only maybe one of them verified, but the fact that Nassim showed some of the pictures with the pictographic language there, as well as saying that there was over 2,000 and the different inlays, and the couple that he showed, I think it'll actually verifies at least 3 or 4 of these different styles, and that we'll get everyone's thought on them, and I'm going to play this now. Klaus Donna and Nassim Hermine.
Thank you. So Klaus came to me with these pictures a few months ago and kind of threw me for a loop. I was just amazed to find these pictures. These pieces, they are the first pieces I've seen in archaeology that so descriptively seem. Everybody understand English? Yes. Uh,
Theorie.
So, here in this piece, for instance, first of all, the piece look very much like the vehicle that is portrayed on it. So the
Das
piece
Objekt
itself,
selbst schaut aus wie ein UFO.
and the object is obviously arriving in the solar system. We see planets around it. The sun here, it's flaring quite strongly.
Das
And this is very, very distinct physics that we know of. This is very much a description of what we call a wormhole in physics, which is a consequence of Einstein field equation. That was first worked out by John Wheeler. And what's really remarkable here, first of all, these pieces usually in many of the pieces that Klaus and I have been looking at for some 20 years or 25 years, there's a certain amount of interpretation that has to be done, a certain amount of decoding. So basically, usually there's a certain amount of interpretation that has to happen, but here there's no interpretation needed. It's pretty clear. This is obviously a spaceship that is coming out of what we call a wormhole. And what was really exciting for me is that, in standard physics, when we came up with the mathematic for a wormhole in standard physics, when the wormhole mouth is billions and billions of times smaller than an atom.
der Ausgang des Wurmlochs ist millionenfach kleiner, smaller than
an atom.
Als ein Atom.
Yeah. And so it's conceptually impossible to travel through wormholes.
Drum sagt die Wissenschaft, ist es unmöglich, durch ein Wurmloch zu reisen.
But there is one possibility, and that is that spin at high velocity can open the mouth of a wormhole.
Ja, jetzt gehst du aber her.
Come on.
Weil
Yes. But that possibility was only possible in the physics of spin in Einstein field equation, which is something I put in to Einstein field equation. So basically, here you can see that the wormhole is spinning, and that is opening a mouth for the spaceship to come out.
Man kann halt sehen, dass an der einen Seite das Wurmloch klein ist und sich immer weiter erweitert und dann im Endeffekt das UFO rauskommen kann.
You want to go to the next?
Ja.
So here we have an even more amazing piece. And you are all some of the first ones to see these pieces.
Also noch ein beeindruckendes Bild und wir sind welche der Ersten, die das sehen.
Die Ersten.
And you can see again we have a solar system. Here is a planet with an atmosphere.
Das Sonnensystem und der Ring, den da gezeigt hat, ist ein Planet mit einer Atmosphäre.
And this planet with an atmosphere must be the Earth. We can assume it's the Earth, but it's definitely a planet with an atmosphere. There's a ship here and a ship here.
Ja, wir nehmen an, dass es die Erde ist, weil es eine Atmosphäre hat und man sieht dann halt diese Schiffe, die Richtung Erde, weil wir es annehmen gehen.
And there's a nice little blow up of what's inside the dome of the ship.
Ja, ist wie so eine Explosionszeichnung, also das, was innen drin ist, zeigt dann da oben halt.
In case you're confused about what it is. And this is as well, you can see the steps here, typical of, pyramidal step pyramids.
Ja, man sieht da halt diese Streifen, das sieht aus wie eine Treppe und das erinnert eben an diese Stufenpyramiden, die man überall findet.
And here we can see that this ship is following a comet that is coming at the Earth.
Da kann man annehmen, dass das UFO im Prinzip einem Kometen folgt, der auf die Erde zusteuert.
Or at least at the planet that's here. And you can see that this UFO, right, which you can see is moving at high velocity, is doing something to push the comet. So this could be a representation of an event either in our past or in our future. And so a very interesting piece as well.
May I say here something?
Yes,
Hmm?
So if here you have, you shouldn't be recording this.
Oops, shouldn't be
No, we
recording this.
Okay,
Good
so
thing they did.
here we have other pieces. Again, we have a solar system. The sun is very clear here. We have a planet with an atmosphere. We have another planet here, and we've got an ascending ship here, another one down there, and then one inside the sun flare. And as you will see in my conference, I'm going to show you the mathematics and the reason why it may be appropriate to think of the sun as a doorway to travel through our through our galaxy and even in our universe. And the ancient people always called it a doorway. So here,
Sorry.
So here we see a UFO coming out of the sun. It's very specific.
Bei den Objekten auch ein Kristallschädel gefunden, und zwar mit einem leicht vorgehenden Kinn, der innen hohl ist.
Here we have another piece. This piece is really interesting.
Okay, ein anderes, was super interessant ist, sagt er.
Well,
Because here we have a
to this, you don't necessarily have to believe space to believe this stuff, because it's intradimensional, and the first thing Nassim talks about is these wormholes, and that the drawings depict spinning vortexes, which like puts you down into this micro macro wormhole that you're not actually traveling through any sort of space. You're actually going interdimensionally, essentially. And yeah, I don't know. Anyways, but we'll take a look. 2,000 of them. And another key thing is wormhole could be, and these discs could be stargates, like SG1 STEs, not necessarily up in the like, who knows? Who really knows what's out there and in the heavens, and what these interdimensional craft and existence, whatever, technology, anything, life, who knows what it is. Out of place artifacts, exactly. Dazzle. Always take it with a grain of salt. Just showing you what's out there. That's why the title is Real or Fake. Make of it what you want.
A picture of the whole piece. We can see the stairways on the side here.
Also da an der Seite, sagt er, sieht man Treppenstufen.
And if we look carefully again, we have a spaceship coming out of the sun. This must be Saturn. Then there's another planet there. And when we look carefully around the UFO, around the object, we find little windows with the...
Okay, Heinrich. 62 is also a problem with the computer sometimes. Yeah.
So let's put it back.
Thank you.
Yes.
He's professional.
So here we have little windows with little guys with big eyes looking out of the little windows that are inlays inside the piece itself. Big eyes. And here we are probably seeing a representation of the field structure that the UFO or the spaceship is creating. They're giving us a clue about how to build the space drive. To open the wormhole, to spin the wormhole and open it, you must have a drive that is spinning the field. Right?
Yep.
Here we have being on Earth that is pointing at the stars. He's holding one of those objects in his hands. He's pointing at either a planet or a star. It could be a planet, but we can see again the comet team, very, very prominent on all these pieces, the comet with, objects in it, and then a UFO over the head.
Ganz genau. Die linke.
And just to link that with something that makes sense maybe to you, okay, that was the last one.
Yeah.
There is an increase in solar activity at this time in the history. There's an increase in comet gazing, solar comet, and all sorts of objects entering our solar system. So, this might be pieces that are telling us about this time in history.
Also jetzt die Signifikanz von diesen ganzen Steintafeln richtig verstehen zu können.
So clearly that is a lot longer presentation the internet ever got. I think 15 or
Very
20 minutes of it was the longest I saw. The other half has since been expunged, and that is probably an hour or 2 hour presentation and lecture. But let's go back and one more time quickly watch this new 5-minute one. Well, new to me, it's I believe 6 or 7 years old. But the fact is 5 minutes of Nassim talking about the science and the whole team testing of these artifacts and whatever they are. It's an unknown culture, and these ones aren't necessarily the UFO ones, but they are the elongated skull ones, and that all in itself is worth more of a look at, and the pyramid culture giants, possibly.
Approximately 5 years ago, Klaus Dona and I were contacted by a group of people that represented a simple farmer from Mexico that had found a large collection of artifacts in a cave on his land. The artifacts were very unusual as they portrayed very specific scenes that involved solar systems, extraterrestrial crafts, what people typically call UFOs. And the UFOs were very well defined. They were not subject to interpretation. They were easy to identify. My tendency was to think that these were hoax, maybe made by that farmer and so on. But the sheer number, meaning there was like over 2,000 pieces, it didn't make it very feasible for a poor farmer in the middle of Mexico to start making these pieces. The other thing is that many of the pieces are inlaid with precious stones like diamonds and gold. Makes it very unlikely for a poor farmer in the middle of Mexico to all of a sudden create such a huge production of hoax. Most of the pieces are out of stone, so there was no way for me to do carbon dating on it and so on. It was not obvious until one day I realized that some of these masks are made out of they're composites. They're, of course, inlays of all these different stones, and so they must be adhesive to glue all these things together. And I thought maybe the adhesive has organic material in it that we could carbon date, and that's what I did. And it was very startling because the result came in at 6,210 plus or minus 45 years, BP, which is about 5,300 BC, which like predates the Mayan culture dramatically. Then we decided to do at least 2 more pieces. So this mask here was done as well. And this big head, this alien big head, was tested as well. And that was even more amazing. The dating came back at 14,215 years plus or minus 60. We've got all the pieces out, some of the pieces out. There's more pieces coming. We're going to get the microscope and start sorting the pieces out and figuring out which one can be tested and what kind of information we can extract. So far, we found 1 sample of organic material that seemed to be part of one of the adhesive on one of the pieces. And, a lot of different data that we're going to be able to analyze in the next few weeks and so on. So it's a good start, and we'll keep you posted on the rest of the stuff. Doing the science appropriately on those pieces, if it's confirmed, completely changed our concept of history and what has happened on our planet. So it's really critical. I really appreciate that you're willing to do the right thing and get the science done.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's get a team together and get out there and do it.
Okay.
Sounds good?
I look forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I wonder whatever became of that, as it has been, half a decade minimum, probably closer to a full one, but it is what it is, I guess. Let's get to some of what I've been promising, and that is these original pictures. This stuff, it's clearly, and he said over 2,000 of them, so that's not a small amount at all, and that kind of verifies a lot of these, especially the specific carving ones, like at least that they were of Nassim Haramein's the collection that him and Klaus Donna were contacted in. A lot of them depicted with these angel wings and the beady style eyes in this Mesoamerican, Aztec, Mayan, Olmec style culture. These being, that one actually might not be from Mexico. That could be African. These ones, being the Mexican ones, and look at all the intense inlay of stones on them, and that it looks like, you know, they've been cleaned up the best they can, but you can still see what looks like soil and or clay or something that from them being dug out. And these specific styles and like just the inlays, and what Nassim there stated that some of them were, and can everybody hear me well as I'm rambling on here? Should make sure that my voice is clear. That the adhesive material used for the stone inlays, when they finally realized they could test it for organic matter to carbon date, that it came back with 14,000 years, which is quite phenomenal, and that would date them to pre-cataclysm, pre Younger Dryas, or of the Younger Dryas time frame, so that this might not necessarily depict aliens, yet just depict what we were calling Nephilim or Anunnaki, or the demigods, the half and half, and that who knows, or maybe this is Anunnaki, or maybe it's Atlanteans, or but see, this sort of stuff really fascinates me because of the headdresses, and that the same sort of style of headdress, like the feathered headdresses, very pronounced proud of the chiefs and like the culture of the Western Plains indigenous tribes and peoples of where I live, and of Canada, and Western North America in general, still to this day. And also that they're incorporated in these guys that I will be finally going. It's actually confirmed next week. We will be there. We are going to Medicine Hat. We are going to these Badlands, and we are going to check them out and the different headdresses. And here we go. This the headdress right here, specifically, and that we can see the Mayan Aztec ones, and then all of what then seems to purport or show a blending of cultures of these winged, flying, elongated, alien-looking hominids starting to take on and portray lots of the indigenous native style of arts and dress and attire, as well as like culture. And then what also see right here, you can see it exactly what I'm talking about. This humanoid, half alien, half human, or maybe all alien, who knows, and the Mayan style or Aztec Olmec style of culture, or did they, yeah, basically showing him, hey, look, don't take your knife, look up there. I don't know. And these inlays, the intricacies, it's just fascinating amounts. And if this one is legitimate, wow-wee-wah, DNA splitty, genetic engineering going on, what do we make of this? Root, I'm just taken back by it, really, if it is legitimate. that I hope that the videos come out of them actually, the original digs and finding of it, and that the disclosure of this comes forward and is available to the public, and that these different symbolic rune languages, this could either be, that these don't, like I said, this, I'm not going to say necessarily that they're alien. I'm going to say this is pre-Adamite demigod language, giant language, or alien. One alien to us, maybe, or our culture, civilization. But was this the root to the Sumerians, to the Aramaic, to the Hebrewic, to the Asiatic, and especially as they go on, some of the older ones, it does seem to depict the development of the original Olmec, Mayan, Aztec languages and symbol, pictograph, hieroglyphic languages. So these were the ones, but they're actually, there's better close-ups of a whole series of these style ones, and they're on giant jade sheets. They're sheets of jade, and they're absolutely nuts. So for like them to be forged, it's an insane amount of money, effort, and resources put into a fraud or forgery. And that even sometimes for legal reasons, the farmers or the different art dealers, the peasants that come upon these artifacts, that then they're trying to, sell them for to different collectors, maybe museums, but get some wage for change their lives, feed their families, whatever, that if they are selling official indigenous state artifacts, they go to jail and get thrown, charged, and lose all the money, sort of thing. But if they claim that it's fraudulent and that they've made it, just made fakes and forgeries, and that it was all fraud, that then the government leaves them alone and actually lets them keep the proceeds of the gold, silver, precious metals that they have found. Okay, so instead of having to turn the millions of dollars, or tens of thousands, or even hundreds of millions, depending on the treasure discovered, what ancient, lots of stories of millions, hundreds of millions, even billions of dollars of both found and lost golden hoards and silver hoards and so much more, that if you're claiming that it's legitimate, well, the government owns it and might just disappear it or disappear you, and never let anybody know if it is a corrupt official that comes to you before a legitimate one, for all you know. But that if you claim it all as fraudulent and that they're fakes that you made yourself, thus by logic and legal standing property, that was your gold and silver that you had to have made those fraudulent fakes out of, and thus any legal tender that you would recoup from selling your fakes and forwards, you'd thus be able to keep. So that is one big thing to keep into mind when looking at different cases and claims, and old ones that might have been claimed to be debunked and stuff like that. That's one way that it's almost better than the disclosure for NDA for some people. But anywho, the point being that these giant jade ones, there's probably at least 100 of them that I've seen so far, and they seem to all have emeralds and rubies for every single eye, and all of this is actually gold inlaid, and so much more on the detail is just nuts. and that they actually also show ant people and mermaid people in some of them, and they're just so outland. Like, look at this. This is another style of the ones that I was like, what the heck is it? And there's literally hundreds of each of these styles, and they are large. And this is gold and gold inlays. And the different carving of the rocks. Oh my goodness, alien Illuminati confirmed. We have UFO, ancient alien, Illuminati confirmed. It doesn't even... There we go. Illuminati confirmed. The inside joke being that my mom bought this for me from the farmer's market, from like the New Age crystal kiosk for Christmas last year, and I display it because I love my mom. Just like I wear this hoodie because my girlfriend got it for me for Valentine's Day. And anywho, believe what you want, but what is this? And again, you're seeing these intense, almost alchemical. That's what really gets me fascinated by them, is they look a lot like the alchemical and the petroglyph different symbols and carvings, but seem to predate them a little bit, or at the same time, or actually after, in between the area, actually, if 16,000, because some petroglyphs are as old as 40 to 60,000 years, I believe, but who really knows with all the testings. And so here's another big one. Like, could be like easily a forgery of just another artist, or it could be part of the original collection and dug up and still covered in dirt, and that it's actually completely gold, and that those are giant rubies and emeralds. I don't know. There needs to be a lot more investigation into it. These ones, I definitely believe are the legitimate ones, and they look like golden tablets, but they might be stone tablets, and they have this pictographic language on them and different themes of information encoded, lots of different symbols, and these symbols do repeat, and they seem rather alien, to be honest. And knowledge of the heavens, clearly. And look at that precision of this inlays. Like, that's no easy work. This is stone. This is nuts. Like, that is no easy job. So here we go, another one of these. This is literally emerald tablets. These are actual physical emerald tablets. There's a few that actually show them with like the backdrop of like light and proper reference and scale to like a table and chairs and stuff, and they're absolutely huge and ridiculously epic. So, like, just the amount of resource and energy that had to go into perpetrating such a fake and fraud. You know, it's on an industrial scale, if so. If not, seems to be depicting classic indigenous elder stories and creation tales and legends from all around the world as, well, maybe truth is stranger than fiction. I'm not sure. I call this all pre-cataclysm. Antediluvian. Pre-Adamite, maybe something like that. You know, was it elves, orcs, goblins, ant people, mantids, reptilian, and all the rest? Like, do they still live under the oceans and deep lakes, or within the mountains and caves, like the tunnels below and the layers below and the layers above, the clouds above, the mountains above? Like, look at the size of this stuff. And depending on what sort of stones these inlays are, like, regardless of if they're just individual fake artworks, modern day artworks, there's still, like, if that's all rubies and stuff, like, still worth tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars. And if the ones that are pure gold, and like, is this all gold? It looks like it, with emeralds and jade, rubies, some more. The scale of this hoax, like, if it is, but it doesn't really look it. And it's quite possible that, you know, maybe more have been found since the original ones, or the government has allowed other sacred known sites to start to be excavated. Here we have another Egyptian looking one. You know, having flying craft definitely makes a lot more sense of the different petroglyphs around the world, or geoglyphs, especially in geoglyphology. So here we can see that these are jade slabs, like that. This actually looks like it's been dug out and trying to be restored with dirt still in it, clay. This one as well, a little bit cleaned up better, but not as, I guess, transparent or translucent of jade. Not as fine a piece. Obsidian, is this all obsidian? Probably. Sandstone carving, easy enough to do, but look at that raven coming out. Or hawk, eagle. Is this gold inlay? What sort of inlays? That's huge. And is this made out of jade? Or jasper, maybe? Jade or jasper? The entire thing. Like, look at the size of that skull. This also jade or jasper. Is that like a giant chunk of gold? Potentially? I don't know. Gold painted, maybe? Gold layered, flaked. So this one, they've taken all of these pictographic, oh, it sucks that it's such a low res picture of the raw stone tablet, but it's one that has all of these crazy pictographic symbols, and that they took the time to trace them, write them all out, and copy them down. Oops. And this is the sort of stuff that AI could be good at looking at and analyzing and comparing these with other different language models and symbology, the developments of pictographic languages, alchemy symbols as well. I've seen a few of them, what look like them in here. And could it be the roots of it? Like this looks like some advanced physics, potentially. And that you see a lot of these repeating in the different artifacts. Like, look at these ones. Like, if it's a hoax, it's a hell of a hoax, folks. Like, and once again, look, we got some more of the pictographic carving symbol language down here, actually inlaid throughout. Oh, Illuminati confirmed at the top again. And the trifecta, this Illuminati has ears and 3 eyes. So the third-eyed 3, oh my goodness, Illuminati confirmed from another planet or dimension. Or are they dino people? Like, what? Like, this right here is, that's no freaking Paracas skull. That's like a giraffe skull or like a salamander skull, maybe. Hey, he's like, yo, you look dope. My wife's already like messing around with your commander, so I'm down. I'm down to get down. Look, oh my goodness. You see, he's down to get down because it wasn't just the women of men getting down. It was the chiefs getting down with, they were all getting freaky deaky in them parties, apparently. I don't know. Make of it what you want. I find it fascinating stuff. I think this is a tracing of one of them. Oh, we already looked at this one, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 6. Yeah. Okay, well, there's a bigger one beyond Saturn. Weird. One of these guys right here. Strange. Why is Jupiter so small? I don't know. Like, this is a lot of work. A lot of work. And like, none of them are broken. Like, like, just to produce this much stuff, like the amount of resources to go in and have to be able to carve into all of these rocks, like all of this different information stuff. Like, look at this legit cone head. We have a legit cone, triangle conies. Oh shit, he's puking because he knocked up a chick. No, this is probably they're symbolizing the soul going in, maybe, from what I've heard, praying down. Oh, are they praying and dead? I hope not dead. I don't know. I just don't know. But look at this. Wow, whoa, look at this language. That is complex symbology that could be Atlantean, pre-Adamite, pictographic symbology of hieroglyphs that predates the Sumerian and could it looks a little Aztecian, a little Mayan, a lot alchemical. I find it fascinating as F. Somebody got to put this stuff into the chat GPTs and the orcas and make something of it. And see, once again, the soul coming out, the ghost coming out, the spirit coming out of the stone, out of the person or the being. This is very fascinating. Blowing the spirit down and out. And is it putting it? Oh, is this like the ship is putting the foreign entity into the person, and then the person materializes it? Strange things. Here we have another one of these giant jade ones and a mermaid. We got the mermaid. That's why I was like, is this stuff fake? But I don't know. Are these like, it's gold shining inlays, and it's a giant jade tablet with gold and precious stones? I really don't know. Don't know what to say. Don't know what to make of it. Aquaman might be real after all. Is the reason we can't find Atlantis because, as Marvel or DC say, it's run by merfolk. Is that what this is depicting? The time of Atlantis, Lemuria, before the Great Cataclysm, that ant folk and reptile folk and elongated head folk and giant folk and humans all existed at once, because oh my, look what we have here. We have Triangle Head crawling out of birthing out of is that human or is that hybrid, or I don't know, but it's birthing. We've got birthing triangle heads, and we've got more baby triangle heads. And is this like test tube pods? More pictographs, elongated skull folk. So is that maybe part of the psyop? They're trying to convince us that elongated skull folk are not of this planet, when maybe they're just other humanoids still left. I don't know. But we've found many a skull and know they exist. So what happened and where are they and what's going on with them now? We need some elongated skull disclosure. And Karen Hughes, R.I.P. to her, the former World Bank whistleblower claiming the elongated folk still running the Knights of Malta and the Vatican and influencing, controlling the strings of the World Bank and much, much more. I find it fascinating, and does it give maybe just a tiny bit of credibility, not to David Loves and Wills Cox overall, but to the one thing that he said that really resonated with me was the Rosicrucian higher ups, what we would refer to as the Illuminati, that's like runs the overall secret society and powers that be, potentially all had these elongated skulls still, and that they live in the underground, leftover ruins below our cities from the time of Atlantis, but humans vastly outnumber them, so they're afraid to expose themselves. I don't know. Make of it what you want. Whatever it is, I think it's time for disclosure and for everybody to live in peace, and everyone stop killing each other, and maybe the ant and alien people might come back out. I don't know. Hopefully they're not feeding on us. Hopefully they're afraid of us. I don't know. I would like to know. That's what I'm saying. But look at this language, all these pictographic symbols. Like, it's got to mean something. Assuming that these are real ancient artifacts, Chat GPT-4 should be looking at these, because that's looking like the beginnings of alchemy. A lot of the alchemical language symbols in here. Look at this. Look at all of the emerald, the inlay. It's a lot. And I bet you they were covered in gold, and the farmers that found them probably took all of the gold lining off. That's what you would do, because you wouldn't want to get killed and robbed by either corrupt government officials and or the cartels that rule these lands as well, right? A lot of things to consider about this. Normal people, chief people, and elongated skull people, and crazy-eyed people, and yeah, what's going on there? More of these symbols, more of this language stuff. Oops. And the fact that Nassim said that there's over 2,000 of these, it now adds a whole more level of credence of when I first started seeing this stuff and had only seen the first video of him and Klaus Donna in 2011, and that they only showed 20 of these pieces, that all the other styles and the pictographic ones and everything, I was very skeptical of, thinking that they just must be modern day new forgeries since. But no, this was all part of the original. Any of these ones especially were part of the original collection with this pictographic language all up in them. Oh, this is actually from Egypt. There's a few of these I've seen over the years, and that there's also apparently the mummied aliens of these guys as well in some of the Egypt coffins that had been dug up, the rumor goes. Here's another one of it from the temple where they were found. These are both very shitty pictures of them, but there's several videos out there that I think have been expunged off of YouTube, just like the original Persian Gilgamesh Nimrod find, where I can't find the original ones now, just the princes. But I will look for it on the deep web here. I will look for all of them on the deep web here. This conch shell completely engraved with all of it too. Looking pretty old. Fascinating stuff here. And look at the concentric circle thing that we see in all the petroglyphs around the world. Is that this could be a Caucasian king right here, potentially. Like, look at the size of this dude's hand and look at the size of this jade or jasper, most likely jade piece. Look at this. This is freaking nuts. And the inlay, and you can see the remaining gold foil where this was most likely previously all covered in gold, I would imagine. Like, just wow. Just wow. See, like, things like it looks like it was probably all covered in gold foil and they took the gold off. Like, look, you can see pieces. Yeah. Yeah, look at that. That's gold in there. Just wow. Like, the amount of time and resources into such a massive collection, like, it's just, the scale of it is implausible to be a fraud and fake. That, like, I know it's paradigm shifting. I know that, you know, it's some cognitive dissonance, or just like if it goes against your beliefs, but it looks like these are most likely a legitimate find. It doesn't mean that they're aliens, doesn't mean anything. It could have just been artwork, for all we know, of an advanced human civilization just like you and me, that decided that they wanted to laser engrave some of their favorite fictional ideas into these rocks and tablets. I don't know. Believe whatever you want to believe, because that is the right that you have for your free will. And I don't know. And I honestly, I don't know if any of it's any of those could be all forgeries as it is too. You know, use your discretion. Make of it what you want. But this is what I was talking about, of Nassim mentioning wormholes, and that I believe this is a real picture or a story. I'm not sure. Maybe it's fake. It's probably claimed to be debunked, but who knows? Point being, that Stargate stuff. Although there is a whole lot of UFOs going on in these babies. There's a lot of flying saucers. Giving Easter eggs? It's like, yo, here's an Easter egg. He's like, yo, here's a pine cone pineapple. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Here's another one of these giant emerald ones, or jasper. I don't know. They're nuts. Like, is that Mother Mary with elongated skull angels? You know, there could be some hoaxes that have come out since the original one. So here's the thing. All of these Jasper Jade ones could be a hoax that someone did put several $1 million into, or 10 million or 100 million, whatever the fuck it would have cost to make all of these Jasper ones or Emerald ones after the fact, with the weird mermaid stuff and this Mother Mary stuff and the ant and all of it, to try to discredit the original ones. Or maybe they are from different locations, or maybe they are all from the same one. Here's the thing. This place right here, this is another place actually that I think that the emerald, now that I see this place, it was in the video of this place getting jackhammered open see this cord going up here? That's a jackhammer, and they're jackhammering it. And I've been trying to find the video of it, and I can't find it anywhere, even though I just saw it like a week and a half ago for the first time. Look at that face right there carved in. Boom. Right here. But that this Cusco, whatever this is, this was where the giant emerald ones, like these guys, and the really big ass ones, not this collection of stuff from Nassim and Klaus, but these sort of ones, these giant big ones. Like, look at this sort of stuff. So apparently this is from a second location that these ones came from this place here, and as did the emerald tablet ones. Sorry, yeah, like these ones came from that place as well, and this style, these ones, all of these emerald style ones, or Jasper Jade, sorry, Jade style. Like, look at all of these. So I believe this is from the Nassim Klaus. Nassim Klaus. Like, either a different place or a modern day fake, and that's the best we can do. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe this is modern day fake and the best we can do, or from a different location. Not sure. Here's one from that cave thing that I showed. I need to find the video of it because it's just nuts. The underground, like, chasm, water, like, cave. It seems like an undermountain sea reservoir that they go through to get this stuff. It's freaking nuts. And then you see them with ropes hauling each piece out. It's freaking, if it's a fake or fraud, it's went through ridiculous amounts of resources to make it so. See, look at this. This is so much closer to the modern, or the more modern ancient Aztec or Inca or Mayan or Olmec pictographic hieroglyphic languages, and still some of what these look like, these alchemy alien symbol ones mixed in, and that they're also petroglyphic ones. Look at those. Those are straight petroglyphs. Fascinating stuff. So yeah, stuff like this came from that undersea or under mountain reservoir chat, like lake, like just I can't believe I can't find it. It's driving me nuts. But it will surface again. Pretty sure this is one Nassim and Klaus specifically had. Like, the scale of all of this. Here we go, some more. And this almost looks like Inuit language a bit. Maybe some Arabic Japanese, like, yeah, so these giant ass ones, this is what also supposedly came from that jackhammered cave with the Undermountain Lake, and that they were just massive, massive pieces. Look at this stuff looking almost Sumerian Babylonian stuff, like how how could all of this been faked and frauded? I just... Much love, Sister Tranquil Vortex. Have a blessed night. Sleep in Australia. Right, it looks like an equation, right? So much of them, I believe, all authentic as fuck, and like that's... See, and then this, like, once again, there's these mermaid ones in this collection that maybe a couple of them are forgeries to throw things off, or maybe they are legit. I don't know. I hope all of the films of where these were like found and dug out, the disclosure comes forward for the sake of humanity, because we need disclosure. This needs to come forward. We need to make sense of the past so we can have a future. And that's just the only way of it. Like, look at this stuff. Just freaking nutty. Here's some more. Right? It does look like equations. It's gotta be advanced freaking knowledge, not just scribbles. It's only logical thing. And see, this is huge. This right here is really, really big, because next up I'm going to play, I'm going to take a little break here halfway through the pictures now, and I'm going to play Terry Carter of the Brewer Cave and the Anunnaki giant Nephilim. I forget what he calls them. Right? Some are giants, some are titans. These ones are just giants. They don't look like elongated skull folk, but they have the same headdress stuff and like this giant freaking thing here that you see carved around that they're wearing, like this big weird crown thing that right, all babies do look like little aliens. Isn't that the truth? And that you're going to see the same style in the Brewer's Cave, or it's either the Brewers or the Burrows, one or the other. And look at this. Look at the size of this jade carving. Like, that is huge. That is so much. So for all of these pieces, like, that's got to be millions of dollars of precious stone and metals. Like, the hours and time alone too, like, it's just, this is nuts. Like, who's got time to do all of this as a fake, as a fraud? Whoa, hold on. Interesting. Like, look at this stuff. So, right, they have an official freaking setup showing it. Like, what? Something going on here. Anyone that can read Spanish? Looking pretty Aztec Mayan to me here. Like, look at that. The craftsmanship is pretty intense. And look at this one. Look at that mask. Turquoise, polished turquoise. That gold here, probably all gold. Turquoise, like obsidian eyes. Like, look at that stuff. I'd say authentic as F. . If you're right, like all of these inlays, they're it is ridiculously beautiful, amazing art. Like whatever way you look at it, it's absolutely beautiful, stunning craftsmanship and skilled labor. It's phenomenal. So UFO thingies, planet thingies. Is that a giant space Tesla coil blasting an asteroid? Like, what is going on here? Is this technology and technology trying to like sun, Earth, comet stuff going on? Like, weird. There's the comet with the big tail coming towards Earth, and there's the sun. King with the wings on the alien head and a quarter, I believe. Praying to the aliens. Once again, these giant head crown dress things. Like, look at this. All obsidian and jade. Look at that. Freaking amazing. Wow, I like it very much. It is nice. How much? Call it the fraud and the fake. Can I get it cheaper? Yes. Like, look at this. Mind is blown. Elongated crystal skulls. Okay. I forget where that dude was from. Pyramids, pictographs, Illuminati confirmed. Akhenaten's daughter, Tutankhamun. They look like, well, they look like these folk, don't they? Don't they just look like these folk? Because I'd say we might have a little bit of a similarity going on here, don't we? Don't we? Yeah, I think there's just a wee bit of a similarity. Like, look at this stuff. The carving, like, wow. Whoa. I would love to find me some of them. And you know what? I think I am. I have a good feeling at one of the sites I go to this year, we might just find something like this in a mountain cave. How epic would that frickin' be? I'd be pretty stoked. So yeah, you know, if I end up coming out with a whole bunch of these for sale claiming that I made them and they're all frauds, you know what happened there, right? You'll know what happened there because I've totally spent my life making a whole bunch of these things, you know, right? So when I get all of these gold bars or gold tablet thingies that I will be forced to say are fakes and frauds, you'll know that, yes, I've just spent the last 38 years since the moment I came out of my mom's womb making fakes and frauds and somehow acquiring a vast fortune of gold and precious stones. That's self-projection and a self-fulfilling prophecy I would like to see. Kaboomy. Look at that. Look at this. See this? Could this be a modern day fake forgery? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. Make of it what you will. These sort of ones, I believe a lot less being fakes. And here we go. These are two famous of the golden tablets of the Crespi collection, and this is a real photo. Sadly, it is just a thumbnail from a screen capture of a YouTube video, but that this guy actually, there's several different people that went down to Father Crespi in Ecuador while he was still alive and got to physically see and hold and photograph and film and take video of the different golden tablets. They do exist, even though lots of them have since been misplaced and lost. That they do exist, or at least did exist at one point in time in the not so distant past. Once again, the crazy headdress. Like the crazy headdress a lot. These are actually from around the world. Okay, so as we're getting halfway through here, let me instead play for all of you this Terry Carter video showing the Nephilim. Ba-doo-boo. And don't forget, we're also live on Twitter, on Twitch, on Rumble, on Facebook, on OdySee, on YouTube's, and subscribe to all pretty please. Ba-doo, 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 ba-doo-doo-doo-doo. But it was for hold on. Terry Carter.
Gal, this is Terry Carter calling. How you doing? Hi, Terry. Hey, I got a couple more questions I want to ask you about John Brewer, okay, if you got a minute. Sure. I was wondering if he ever told you about the inside of his cave, the East Cave, the one with the mummies in it. Yeah. And just what he described to you and what he told you about it and how he found it and just the whole story of what it looked like and how he hit it up. And
story, you got time?
Sure.
Well, there was a woman, or a girl from Manti that graduated from high school, and she didn't want to stick around Manti anymore, so she took a job in San Francisco, and she was raped, and she got pregnant, and she came back to Manti, and she had the baby. She didn't want to keep the baby, so she gave it to a family at a ranch outside of Manti somewhere, and they raised the kid. He was half white, half black, and the people didn't accept him very well. The kids kind of picked on him. So the Indians.
Okay.
Well, I guess you can see some Clastern, Western, so I don't know. There's some stereotyping going on. I shouldn't stereotype more. But anywho, we shall continue on with the story of the Brewer Caves.
At the fair, and the fair was coming up, and he needed more arrowheads, so he started asking around if anybody knew where there were arrowheads. And somebody said, well, George Keller knows where there's a lot of arrowheads. They said, where can I find him? And they said he usually hangs out at the bar down here. So went down there and he found him and asked if he could show him where there's arrowheads. And he says, I will for a jug of wine. So he gave him a jug of wine. He told him where to go, and he went up there and couldn't find any. So he came back down and he said, will you take me there and show me where these are? And he says, I will for another jug of wine. So I bought it to him and took him up there, and was under an overhang of rocks, and he says, "Now don't just pick up the ones on the surface. Dig down, because this area for making arrowheads for many, many years." And he dug down a couple of feet in there, and he broke into a chamber. And the story that he told me is that there were steps going down, and at the bottom of the steps was a hole, a deep hole, big enough for a guy to fall into. He says he tossed a rock down in there, and it went down a long ways before it hit. Anyway, he says that I asked him if the hole was man-made or if it was natural. He says, oh, he didn't know. But he said on the left, the bottom of the stairs was a kind of a desk or a table, and he thought that was used for inscribing record plates on. On the other side of that...
Was it made out of stone, or the table?
I don't know. He didn't say.
Okay.
But he said on the other side of the table was a very large stone crypt. And he says that it was huge. And he says that against the far wall, going the other direction, was another large stone crypt. He says on the right-hand side, there was a bunch of shelves cut into the side of the hill, and there was a bunch of bundles on them. And he said that he came back with pry bars and wedges and stuff, and was able to raise one of those lids up far enough that he could shine a light in there. And there was a mummy, a well-preserved.
Oops. Okay, so I've paused it for a moment. There's going to be a couple sketches coming up, and you're going to see these same box style headpieces. It's not on this one, but it'll be on the queen, the princess. Here it says male Nephilim giant. You'll see it on the female for sure, just like it was the female alien or elongated head ones wearing them as well. So this is very interesting, and this is according to the John Brewer. These are John Brewer sketches.
There's a mummy in there, a giant guy with red hair, in full armor, a big sword in there. And the other one, he said, had a blonde-haired woman in it. She was also large, but not as big as him. She was also in armor. And on the other side, he said he didn't know what was in those bundles until he opened.
Look at this right here. There it is. The John Brewer giant caves, what they're claiming to be the Nephilim here, has that same exact weird giant headpieces that the Nephilim in the elongated skulls of the Mexico also have. So this is very, very fascinating stuff. Danglies down here, this stuff up here. Well, it looks like dinosaurs as well. Dinosaurs down here. Very, very fascinating.
Opened one up. He says there were cement box that was wrapped in juniper bark and covered with pitch, and those were the ones that had the records in.
Okay.
And I asked him, I says, well, what was straight back? You told me what was on the left and what was on the right, but what was straight back? And he said, well, he says, I don't know. It was just a lot of dirt back there, but he says he did kick stumbled on something, and it was some tablets there that was underneath all the dust, and he says he put them together and they formed a map of the area and showed where 7 other locations were where he said that they said there were records. But he says he found a little what looked like a melting pot where they probably melted metals down in with it.
Huh.
And he says that he doesn't know what was in the back of the...
Could he see the back, or it was all covered up with dirt?
He couldn't see anything in the back, but he says he doesn't know what was back there. He didn't excavate anything back.
He couldn't tell how far it went back, or it was just covered up? Or okay.
But anyway, he says he took some of the records out, and then he closed off the entrance, and he says that you can get within 3 feet of it and not tell it's there, because he says he closed it off and covered it over. But he says he has taken a video, made a videotape of how to get to it and a map. And he's put those in escrow, in a bank in Provo, and they were in Paul's name. So if anything happened to him, they would go to Paul. And when Paul died, I went and told him that Paul had died, and he was quite upset about that. I told him, well, look, you've got to choose somebody else to change the name on there, so if anything happens to you, it doesn't just sit there.
Yeah.
Wrong people. And he says he would do that. And I assume that he did, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, you don't know who or if he did or what, huh?
Yeah. But he pointed up, he took me up behind the temple at Manti there, and he pointed up to where his cave was, and he says that from the entrance you can see the temple.
Which direction did he point?
He pointed kind of south. He didn't really, he just kind of waved when he pointed.
Sorry about the bad sound there. It's because this was obviously recorded by Terry Carter on analog tapes back in the day, and or VHS or cassette, one or the other. But best it is, and glad that he was able to get it. Hopefully someone remasters it someday, but until then, this is what we get.
So I couldn't get it exactly.
Yeah.
Or he went to back in that area somewhere. And I don't know whether he's even telling the truth.
Right. Yeah.
But he did tell me that it was on private ground, and he was going to try and buy the ground.
Right.
It was on. And what he said he wanted to do was make a kind of a museum right there in the cave.
Oh, yeah.
And display these things in there.
Look
have
at that.
everything
And the
under glass.
headprints again.
People come in and see this, but he never got that far. He had all kinds of problems, as you know.
Yep.
Trying to beat him up and shooting at him and burning his arms with blowtorches and killed his son and all kinds of things like that.
Killed his son, attacked him, burned him, all these things for him trying to expose this stuff. They literally attacked, murdered John Brewer's son over this intimidation for preventing this stuff coming out. And that eventually John Brewer had to claim it was all a fraud just to be able to not get charged and thrown in jail for selling some of the items as national treasure or whatever the heck, archaeological something. Just, it's crazy. And that's why this stuff has been suppressed, is they've been murdering people and doing everything possible to suppress it. But the truth will prevail, and thank God, and bless the souls of all of these whistleblowers throughout time that gave their lives, these martyrs that gave their lives to put this stuff in the public consciousness and record.
Which has been a year ago. He didn't even want to talk. He said he wished he'd never found these things and give him nothing but trouble.
Yeah, I bet it has.
I guess nothing's going to happen with that unless somebody stumbles onto it.
Well, did he? I have another story that says that after the entrance caved in, or after he caved it in, he made another entrance on the top. Did he describe that to you, or tell you about that?
Well,
or
I understood it was down below.
He went down below
in the bushes, in the brush down there, and made a very small tunnel back in there. He's a little man, you know.
Yeah.
He made it just so he could squeeze back in there. And I tried to get him to take me back there, and he says, well, you couldn't get through it. You're too big.
Okay.
And I said, well, if I give you my camera with a flash on it, will you go in and take pictures of all this for me? And he says, well, he had tried to do that, and none of the pictures came out. Now, whether he just didn't know what he was doing or what, I don't know.
Yeah. Did he ever show you drawings that he made of inside the cave?
Yeah.
Of inside the cave that he drew?
Well, just a sketch of the floor plan of it. And then he gave me drawings of the two mummies that were in there.
Okay.
He drew those for me.
Okay.
And he did say that there was a cave on the west side of the mountain, too. And I think I know where it is, but it's in a really steep, rugged canyon. I've seen it from a distance, but looking across the canyon, but I've never been to it.
Yeah.
And he did say there was artifacts in there. He didn't say what else.
Did he say that he covered up his new entrance with rocks, or how did he hide it up? Or
he just put bushes over it.
Just put bushes over it.
Yeah.
He in his diary, he talks that one time that he covered it up and he lost it for like 2 months. Did he ever talk about that? Or
he never mentioned that to me, huh?
okay, in the cave, he described the mummies. Were they, as far as how they sat, were they set one on top of each other in separate sarcophaguses, or they
separate stone sarcophaguses?
And they laid end to end, or
no? One of them was facing north and south. The other was on the other wall facing east and west.
They was on opposite walls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not opposite walls, but they were around the corner from each other.
Okay. Okay.
And,
all right.
He just opened a few of the bundles of records, and he says most of them are still sitting there, as far as he knows.
Oh, and then also I read that he gave Dr. Chessman 2 of these boxes, and Dr. Chessman wasn't going to open only under archaeological find, but he was first going to wait until he could get into the cave. But I know one of the boxes his wife had, or David Tomlinson had, and then his wife got. Do you know what happened to the other box?
Yeah, I've got it.
You've got it. Have you got the box?
I don't have the box. I just have the contents of it.
Oh, do you know what happened to the box?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Johnny Brewer, Millie had these when Paul died.
Right.
And she gave them back to me and told me to take them up and give them back to Johnny.
Ah.
I did. I went back up there to give it to him, and he says, "Do you have any use for them?" I says, "Sure." He says, "Well, you take them then." So I did.
Does these plates that you have, do they have the drawing that he drew and it has like the alligator or snake head or something like that? Does any of your plates have that on it?
No, just the drawing that he made of the mummies has it on.
Right.
But it's not on any of the plates. If you ever come down here, I'll show you pictures of all these things.
Yeah, I'd like to see pictures of those plates you have, because one of the plates that was in the other box does have one of them dragon heads or alligator or snake, whatever it is, and it has the exact markings on it that he's drawn on the male mummy.
Oh yeah.
So
one of my plates has a scorpion on it, but that's as closest.
Ah. Okay.
Where do you live?
In Orem.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd like to come down and see pictures of those plates.
I'd be glad to show you.
But you never ever did know what happened to the box, though, huh?
No, I don't know what happened to the box. Millie never gave me that.
Okay. All right. So did he ever describe it as like being on a knoll, or just said it was in the mountains?
Just on a hillside.
Just on a hillside, yeah. And it was a big overhang or a small overhang? And
there was he said that
it went into a little cave, and then he broke into a tunnel from there? Or?
Well, he broke into the staircase.
Uh-huh.
And the stairs went down. I think he said there were 7 stairs, if I'm not mistaken.
Uh-huh.
Went down into the chamber.
Did he say he ever tried to go down that hole at the end of the stairs?
No, he never did try that. It was a deep hole.
Okay. Now, did he tell you this story about George Keller, or is that just a story you heard?
He told me about that. When you come down, let me know so I can be here.
I will do that. Well, I appreciate you talking to me, Gail. I'm just trying to put 2 and 2 together, and of this cave and what it looked like on the inside, and exactly.
The thing that interests me is he said that he didn't explore the back, straight back. He said he didn't know what's back there.
Well, I've got his drawing of that cave, and you say you got it too there.
Well, he just drew out a little sketch with a pencil.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Kind of a floor plan.
Yep.
But he said that there was about 8 or 10 inches of dust all over the floor. So he says there could have been some things under the dust there, but
he didn't mention about excavating it inside of it or anything.
He never did. He just found these flat tablets that formed a map when he put them together, and he actually took me around to these places that he said
the 7 different spots.
Yeah, around the area, and they went all the way from Spring City to Wales and all over down that area. And he showed me where he says, now there's got to be records in this hill because the map says there is.
Oh.
But I don't know any exact spots.
Yeah. Okay. So
I've got a long telephone conversation with Johnny Brewer on tape here.
Yeah, you let me listen to that. Yeah. So,
but he doesn't even want to talk to anybody anymore about it.
yeah, well, I'm sure he's had a lot of heartache over it.
I don't blame him. It's been his wife has given him more trouble than anybody else.
Oh, yeah. Do you know about him being associated with Mark Kaufman? Okay.
I know he told me that some guys from Idaho came down and talked him into forging some plates for them. They were going to raise some money, and he did it. And he was excommunicated from the church, of course. But
he did tell you that himself?
Yeah, and he says that it probably saved him because when the government came after him on the Antiquities Act, he did.
It was forgeries, huh?
Those plates, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That probably saved his butt.
Yeah. Okay.
But he had a photographer from Manti come and photograph.
Lucian Bound.
Yeah, and Ross LeBaron went up to him and talked to him and given him copies of the pictures. And I don't know what Ross is doing with them. He showed me pictures that he's got. He's got 8x10 blow-ups of some of the things.
How many pictures he got? Just a bunch then, huh?
Yeah,
he got them all, or?
He's got pictures of all my plates.
Oh.
Plates that I've got. And a few others.
Okay. Because I thought that the note I have, Chessman says that he got some stone boxes that were not opened, and he was not going to open them until he got into the cave. And then that never happened. So if they weren't open, I wonder how he got photographs of them.
Well, I don't know if they ever were opened. Well, I don't know if she still got them or what had happened, but she gave this one set to me and told me to give them back to Johnny Brewer. I tried to, and he told me to keep them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would like to see what do they look like, or in the shape of them? Are they kind of like
all different shapes? Most of them are lead, but there are a few. There's one little brass plate and several copper plates. There's one bronze plate and several brass plates, but they're all small.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know if Paul had any tests or anything done on them?
No, but Robert Ghostwolf has been out here a couple of times trying to get me to give him one of the plates so he can have an analysis made on them. And I wouldn't do it because...
yeah, I remember you telling me about losing one to Wayne.
Yeah, Wayne took one and never gave it back.
That's terrible because that's irreplaceable. That's priceless. Really? Do you have photographs of it?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I got photographs of all of them. And there's a number of different languages, probably 4 or 5 different types of writing on them.
Okay.
But it wasn't, the only thing I blame Wayne for is letting me get out of his hands because...
Do you know who he gave it to?
Well, I've heard.
Did he give it to Hubbard or Paul Schifranke?
Harry Hubbard could be the one. But anyway...
What happened? They just wouldn't give it back, or...?
I think I've got a letter from Wayne, got his name on it. He gave it to that guy, and the guy wouldn't give it back to him.
Serious?
The guy's probably trying to raise money with it or something.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to get that.
Name. It's on the letter.
Yeah, I'd like to get that name.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, I think that's about all. See if I can't get that plate back for you. If I can get that name.
Johnny, maybe I told you. Johnny took me to a mountain west of Wales called Big Mountain. He called it West Point.
That was the main cave he was looking for, the area of the main cave?
Well, yeah, he said that the map in his cave said that the largest, the most important repository of records was up on that mountain somewhere.
Right.
And he said he'd looked for it for a long time and couldn't find it, but it finally occurred to him he's not supposed to find it. That's not his business, but he was to be custodian of that one cave. But anyway, I do know of a location up there, and I do know that there's records there. The markings are on the rock, and I get good signals with my metal detector and everything.
Wow. Well, I think you give me a lot of information, and
you're gonna write a book on
No, I'm not writing a book on this at all.
Several books have been written on it.
I know one of them, I'd gathered a lot of information and I took it to a guy and shared it all with him, and he took it all word for word and made a book out of it.
Was that John Heinerman?
No, yeah,
He'll do that.
yeah. No, I'm just, I don't know why I've been interested in this for a lot of years, mainly because I think maybe it ties in with these symbols that are throughout the western United States, the ones that are like in Fillmore, Cedar City, and Manti and that. But I don't know why I've got an interest in it so bad, but I just do.
I don't think things happen by chance.
Yeah.
I think these are not coincidences. They're all part of a plan, but I don't have all the answers.
Yeah. Well, maybe one of these days we'll get all the answers.
All we need is enough to find the thing.
Yeah.
I think there's probably records all over.
Well, I think so too. I think there is too. I really do. Yeah, I've just heard several different stories and versions of the cave and how he found it, and
that's what he told me.
And so,
and Mrs. Keller told pretty close to the same story. There was a few differences in it.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that that was his story. That he did say that Keller showed it to him, and that wasn't somebody just making that up. So
I don't even know if George Keller's still alive.
I don't think he is. I also heard that Ross LeBaron, you mentioned him, that he got photographs of it, and I also heard that he'd looked for a lot of years, heavy bothering Brewer about it and trying to find it.
Yeah.
And I know you've talked to him. Have you talked to him about the Brewer Cave and what he's found and what his theories are? And
he showed me his pictures, but he got all his pictures from this
Lucian
photographer.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of treasure hunters out now. They show up every once in a while asking me questions.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a lot of them around.
Well, I appreciate you talking to me, Miguel.
All right.
It's a cave and what it looked like and how he described it, and you've helped. I appreciate that.
Well, that's what he told me. So if it's wrong, then he told me wrong.
Yeah.
Could do, just to throw people off.
Yeah. Well, he has told some people some different stories, but then he's told some people the same stories.
Yeah.
But I think your story is pretty correct. From what I've seen and what I've been studying and I think your story's pretty correct.
So you've met Dave Tomlinson then, huh?
Yeah.
Is he still at one block?
He give it back to Millie.
Oh.
So if I find out any more, you probably know more than anybody on this Brewer stuff, but if I find out more information, I'll let you know.
Okay, appreciate it.
Technical difficulty.